So recently I've been talking a lot about financing the purchases of our cars. And one of the points that I always emphasize is when it comes to budgeting our loan, I would always put a big enough down payment to cover the first 1 or 2 years of the car's depreciation. And the reasoning is very simple. I want to ensure that at any point in time, if I want to sell that car, I have the option of doing so without having to worry about topping up money to the bank. Okay, without having to worry that what I still owe the bank is more than what the car is worth, right? So the thing is, this principle is easy to apply when you're talking about common cars like, the City, Civic, Vios, Myvi, Mercedes, BMW, all these cars with lengthy track records, plenty of data points for us to accurately predict the car's resale value 2, 3 years down the road. But what about the new generation of Chinese cars? How do you judge their resale values? Well, the simple answer is you can't. You can't. And my advice is be more conservative, all right? Put a bigger down payment, at least 20, if not 30% if you can afford it. Put a 30% down payment, all right? And pay it in as short a time frame as possible. If you have to stretch it, that's fine. If you have to stretch it to 7 years, 9 years, fine. But what I will emphasize is put a bigger chunk of down payment so that at least you know that whatever you owe the bank is less than what the car is likely to be worth 1 or 2 years down the road. The thing is that, right, what I've observed with all the new China brand cars is that now, to their credit, those that I've managed to experience, they are all pretty good, decent cars, well-made cars. A bit bland in terms of the way they drive, but styled beautifully, built beautifully. All right. Basically, very little to complain about from an objective standpoint, and literal, really nothing for me to discourage you from buying it. It's just that we have no accurate way of predicting how well these cars will hold their value. I've seen some of them worth only 50% of their brand new car values after 1 or 2 years, right? So the thing is, you don't want to leave yourselves, you know, in a position where you'll be caught with your pants down 1 or 2 years down the road, right? So the best way to stay ahead is that you put a bigger down payment to ensure that you have an easy escape route. If you have an easy exit if you need to part ways with the car all of a sudden. But the thing is, there are some telltale signs that you can look and see. There are no guarantees because you think about it, a lot of the Chinese brands that are in the market today weren't even here 2 or 3 years ago. There's no way we can really definitively predict what the future will be like in 2 years' time. Okay, in fact, the next 2 years would in the Malaysian car industry will probably see a much bigger change in landscape than we saw in the last 5 years or even 10 years. It's going to be that crazy. Okay, so it boils back down to the biggest rule of thumb is be conservative in terms of your borrowings. Put as big a down payment as possible. But how do you tell whether this brand has a bigger likelihood to be longer in the game here in Malaysia? All right, we command greater trust amongst the buying public, right? So you see, the thing is this: resale value is dictated partly by the desirability of these cars, but more of it is by consumer trust toward that brand. Because let's be blunt about it. Pro Duo, for example, you won't call any of their cars desirable, but there is a high level of trust in them, in their cars amongst Malaysians. That's why Bezas hold their values so well. That's why Myvis hold their value so well. Whenever I look at the price of a used Myvi or a used Beza, there's no way I can justify paying that kind of amount. But that is a sign that these cars hold their value. Why do they say that, Civic, Honda Civic, Toyota Camry, these are resale value kings? Because consumers know and trust these cars. So the key to whether any of these new upstart Chinese brands are able to command a high resale value in the future is how much trust are they able to build in the consumers. And that's something that we cannot fully predict, but you can sort of anticipate. Okay, firstly, look at how serious the brand carries themselves. Look at the standards which their showrooms and service centers are built. Because right now, of all the Chinese brands there out in the market, you can already see which brand dresses their showroom properly, which brands are still a bit chincha in the way they sell and market their cars. Okay, so the logic is this: any brand that, any company, any organization that invests in presenting themselves well to the consumer, that invests in uh, in a good showroom experience, there is a better likelihood that the brand is in for the long run, right? Even when shit hits the fan, the brand will still take responsibility and own up to consumers and take care of their customers. Okay, so Cherry, for example, well, they faced a big boo-boo last year. So the next couple of years would be an interesting journey to see if they can rebuild the trust in their brand. Now, so far, I see people are still buying their cars. Okay, people still talk about what happened about the car with the detached axle, but it would look like their brand reputation is on their way on well on the way to recovery. Okay, another example, JQ has built their brand well enough that even with just one model, they were able to outsell Mazda, which is a much more established brand in Malaysia with a wider palette of offerings. So the thing is, the new generation of Chinese cars, I have absolutely no reason to discourage you from buying them. Well, except Neta. That one's a bit of a disaster, right? None of them I have any reason to actively discourage you from buying them. But the only advice that I will say is, don't stretch yourself when it comes to the loan. Put a slightly bigger down payment, okay, just to give yourself that bit of a cushion, because we do not know where their resale values are heading for the moment. All right, give yourself that cushion of safety, so that when you buy these cars and when you drive them around, you're able to enjoy them with peace of mind. Okay, you're able to enjoy them without feeling any financial anxiety. Okay, and that's the most important thing, right? So now on the topic of resale value, now I know that there are a lot of people out there who wants to sell their cars, but you're caught in a position where the used car dealers offer to you is less than what you owe the bank. Okay, so if you're in that situation and you like to find ways to either reduce that gap between your car's resale value to your loan balance, or you want to bring yourself across the line and have money to take back, fill in the form in the description section below. My team will be in touch. We'll give you a free consultation to see if we can help you sell your car on a consignment basis to get more money back from your car. All right. So that's it from me today. Do share any questions and comments you may have in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts or what questions that you may have, and I'll do my best to answer it in the next video. Until my next one, take care, stay safe, and I will see you soon.